Okay, I do believe we're live again. I'm just always waiting to have that window open up. So just 1 second, everyone who's watching. And then I'm going to move on to the normal introduction. Okay, here we go. So welcome everyone to our weekly discussion of the Sunday service. Yesterday was a very... I always lack the word to describe the service. I try to put it in words, and I'm always like, yesterday was like very, and then yeah, I just like the word. I have to say, I loved everything that was talked about. And you know, like science and religion is a very, just like very current theme, and I feel like something that everyone has like, you know, thought about and encountered in some way or another. So yeah, I'm very happy that Jeff and Shia made a sermon on that, and that we are here to discuss that in more depth and just go deeper, and also like, you know, obviously recap what was shared yesterday. And as always, I will give this over to Laurentiu to start off with the meditation and the card reading, because he's always the one who takes the notes when it comes to that.
Well, hello everyone. Well, what can I say? I want to say about the song again. It's so amazing. It's really nice. It's really beautiful. Um, and the meditation as well. Like as always, Revat, you're doing such a good job. Like the idea with the light the candle was so interesting because that's what we're doing as we're healing ourselves. We were able to light someone else's candle, and then at their point they can light someone else's candle, and that's something that keeps going. And how you said about finding your guru and kind of like being grateful for having your guru, having met your guru, because actually your guru lights your candle, and then you light the candle or of someone else, and it keeps going and it keeps going and keeps growing, and more and more have that light lit within themselves, and it just brought a more union to everything here. And it brings that curiosity that science brings as well, like lighting the candle. Oh, I can see that light, I can see that bright light there, and I want to see it everywhere. Let's see what's going to happen. It's like an experiment to bring all those lights lit. So yeah, that's about the meditation. If some one of you wants to say more about it, or
Well, I think, you know, I just want to share that I also really love the image of like, you know, everyone being a candle, and you're just like allowing someone else to like light your flame. And then like, you know, once you've allowed them to do that, you like, you have your own flame and your own like heat and warmth, which is like basically you awakening to the fire of God and love in you. That was like, yeah, just came over me. But yeah, that was just like, you know, really beautiful. I just like thought about like while you know, the meditation happened and I was like meditating, obviously. I was just like thinking, you know, how beautiful it is that we, like each of us has like their own flame, and we, you know, someone else can like like, you know, can light that in us, and then like we're kind of like, I guess, like, you know, independent in our own flame. Like we don't depend, like once it's lit, and if we choose to let it allow it to just continue to burn, it's like, you know, like we're like all, I think, you know, like the image I came was like we're all equal, we all have our flame and we're all equal and have the same amount of fire, kind of. So yeah, those were just like some kind of some associations that came for me when Vivati was doing the meditation that I wanted to share.
And also having a guru makes you like, you know, that lights that fire, and then they teach you how to sustain it yourself, so you become responsible for your own flame. And
I love that part of becoming responsible, because that's what Jeff and Shia really teach us, to become responsible, like to not have to rely on anything outside of ourselves to have a relationship with God, but to build a relationship with God within us, and then like, you know, take the responsibility to sustain that and keep working on that.
Yes,
thank you guys for that.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Very.
Thank you. I felt like uh, the way that came about, the meditation came about, was that for you to even come across your guru, like it takes a certain karma. So some people, even when they come across their gurus, they do not recognize or they disregard them, miss, so-called miss their, you know, path. But that's not. It takes a certain good karma to actually even meet them. So I felt so much reverence towards Japan Shriya and even all other gurus who had come before them also. So that was the feeling I had that came through the meditation.
That's so beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
that.
you.
Good. So, with that said, I think we can go forward with Colby and Killy's meditation. Not meditation. Why they said that? Card reading. I'm like, maybe that's what it's called as well, like Colby and Killy.
It's like
No
equal
meditation.
to a meditation.
Yeah. So with the cards that they got, the first one, it was the view from above, and it's really about getting the big picture. And I liked what they said about reevaluate your situation, where you are and what's happening, and not seeing that, oh, you're a candle, what can you do, but actually seeing the big picture, that you know, coming from the from your meditation, Revati, lighting someone else's candle and learning someone else how to light their own candle, then the big picture is that they can help so much more. So it's not as small as you think. Just helping one person is much more than that. So we can impact so much more by just us being ourselves and sustaining ourselves, being responsible for our own light. That already brings so much more to the world. Yeah. And it's really safe to evaluate yourself. Like, am I doing things right here? Are things okay here? How do I feel about this? How are things looking to my life? What I would like to have more, what I don't have right now that I desire, and bringing love there, and really like clearing those things around. And yeah, and maybe one of you wants to say about the first card before I go to the second. If not, I just go to the second.
Just something really quickly. I loved how you related that to the meditation and said how we we light other people's candle, and really, it just really shows how this ascension grows exponentially. The more people join, it just increases it just in speed. Oh my god, honestly guys, I can't speak today. My words I choose to ground. So yeah, it just grows exponentially, and the more people are doing the inner work, doing the mirror exercise, the more people they can then share this with, and these people then share it with other people, and it just keeps growing and increasing in the speed of growth.
Exactly.
Yeah. And also the topic of evaluating where you're at also came up in the service. So it's really cool how I don't know if they did it on purpose or how it worked, but all of the the meditation and the card reading, and of course Lisi's part, all perfectly led into the conversation.
God did it on purpose.
Right. Yeah, it's just really cool, that topic of reevaluating your life and just taking an honest look at where you're at and what you're doing and how to get, how to go deeper. It's really important.
Perfect. So, second card, begin now. Take the first step. And they were saying about the image, about the man that was leaving and the road that was in front of him, and it was long. And for me, at least, what I got from that is really about, it's a journey, so it's safe to take that journey, and don't take the first step, and then you're gonna take the next one, and then the next one, and not try to think how I'm gonna take all these steps in front of me, instead of oh, I just can take this step, okay, then the next step will appear and I can do that one. Instead of overwhelming yourself by thinking, how can you do all 1 million steps that you have to do or something like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one step at a time.
Hmm. And your journey
Yeah,
becomes.
and I'll
Oh,
yeah. No, I just even in the car they had this one person who's always stood by him, even on the path. So it was your support. And I really like that. Like I like that there's always support present on your journey. So it felt like that was like how TFU is with all of us and the community. They're always present. Mm.
yeah. I know that you can always take this step right now, like in every area of your life can have a new beginning and you can have this support that Revati is speaking about. It's you don't have to wait for a miracle to happen in order to have what you desire. You just start now doing the inner work to have what you desire, and miracles can happen and will happen. So that's um, that's all I got from this. Do we move forward to the Lissy? Okay.
Yeah.
So I really liked how Lissy described her story and how it went along, and I'll just do a little bit of overview of everything, and maybe then we can go into it. It's as she started with her story of like showing us how she started being curious about the world. She was shown like things, and she was like, "Oh, what is that?" And just having that child is just exploring, just wanting to explore, wanting to find things out, and that joy of finding things out, because actually you're just finding other. And then after exploring, it came the questions, her questioning things. What is that? What is this? What's happening here? And with the questions, it came the desire for answers. And I really love that because it's just a way that how we're coming to this world, like not we're born and then we're just exploring, curious, and then we have all these questions, and then we desire these answers, and we know that these answers are there already. We just have to go deeper. And as we do this, um, the like is you start to have even like with more curiosity and more like you seek these answers, you seek this perfect partner that you have into your life, and you get into this state because it's inevitable for you to get here to like get into a place that, oh, I know there's someone for me there. I don't know who, who it is or what's happening there, but I know that he's there. As you go deeper, you keep seeking this partner, and then how she's saying that then she found her twin flame. She didn't knew twin flame or things like this, but she knew, okay, there's something here. And then how she just found um, Jeff and Shalia, and then after she found Jeff and Shalia, her gurus, she just by doing the work, she achieved harmonious twin flame union. So all this journey that she's presenting, she's a seeker. She's seeking the truth. She's seeking God. And this is the journey of most of us here. We just seek God, and this is where He led us here. And you just have to keep going deeper, and that brings you the community that we have today. Because as we all desire this thing, we came together for this purpose to go deeper, to find God, and that's what we're doing. And I really love how she just. This is the overview of everything that she said, and I just loved it. So yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for giving us an overview. Like to like kind of start going deeper into some areas of that. Like one thing that I really loved about what she said is, when she was explaining how she had like that job, something like about the stars. I don't remember the specifics, but how she basically started like, just inquiring about like her external reality, and that's like how like she started like being a seeker and everything by just like like in an external way kind of, which is like how many of us like start by trying to understand this world and why everything is happening and how everything is going on. And then for everyone there comes this time where like you start looking within and like doing that, like turning that scientific method that you've been using on understanding the external world, like you're turning that to look at what is going on inside of you and inquire about your internal world. And she said, I love that so much. She said like there's just like words and dimensions to be discovered inside of you. And like I was just like, that is like so beautiful, because that's really what it is. Like, you know, like the external world is just simply a reflection of like all the worlds and universes and everything that is inside of us. And the like true treasure and the true, you know, like this like depth that we're looking for, is like it can all be found within. And the more we like search and inquire into what is going on in our internal world, and you know, that is why we have our relationship with God, which is then like expressed in everything, obviously. But you know, it just like really goes back to like everything you're looking for is inside of you. So you just have to keep like go deeper on the inside and keep looking for the truth inside of you. Swinging my pen around, I feel
That's
so
really beautiful.
intellectual with like all these notes. Like my pen, like every Monday I'm like, oh my god, I feel like so academic.
Yeah, and it leads perfectly into Jeff and Shalia's sermon because they talk about how your reality is, you can create it by choosing the thoughts that you think and choosing the feelings that you feel, and like working through your feelings and doing your inner work and loving yourself, and your reality starts to change and reflect like what's within you. As you get closer to God, you experience more God in your reality. So it is like endless worlds to explore, universes, and it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, and Lisi was also talking about, you know, how like when she found TFAS, she started doing the work, it was this experience of everything kind of matched up, and it like made sense logically, but it also made sense like on a spiritual and emotional level. And that was like, you know, I think that's like very important to, and this is, you know, this like entire, I mean, this is kind of like the core of the entire service, and also Jeff and Shalia's sermon, that it's important to bring the heart and the mind together. Like intellect and heart are not contradictory, they're meant to work together and be in a very balanced state. And your mind can bring you deeper into the truth, like intellect, science, like, you know, having this like approach to really find the truth and be a seeker, that can bring you, it's part of being a, you know, being spiritual, and it can bring you deeper into, like it can bring you deeper into in your relationship with God and deeper to yourself. And yeah, it's just like, you know, so beautiful to talk about this in a state, like in a way that where like science and religion, spirituality are not seen as these like two forces that are against each other, which is, you know, how it's been like for a very long time. And you know, like this wasn't mentioned in the service, but even, you know, when we look back in history, there was like so much not pleasant stuff going on between science and religion, where they even like the church killed scientists for like, you know, going against the church's dogma and all of that stuff. And it's like, you know, it feels just really good to bring union to this place.
And it's really here. I mean, we know already that Lisi watched the Jeff and Shia sermon before, and that's why she helped us to lead into that, because she says in her part. And but this leads into the idea of, I think this is around the end when they actually speak, Jeff and Shia speak about how the church just has these things and wants to keep them and not evolve from those. They don't try them out. They do some stuff, but they don't really fully experiment with them. Does this work? Does this not work? And just use what works. And this is the difference between what religion did and what like science just tried. Okay, this works. Okay, it doesn't work. Okay, this works. Okay, this works. Okay, we go in this direction and keeps going and keeps going, keeps growing. And I really love that idea how um, science keep growing into itself and keep seeking more and more and actually seeks more God there. And that just brings life to it. It makes it alive. When with religion, when it doesn't seek that, it just puts it down. It's kind of like, no, if you don't believe as I believe, you're not right. And that's not really pleasant to have. And um, there is what Shelley, I think, said about Socrates about an unexamined an examined life is not worth living. If you don't examine your life, if you don't um, just enjoy it and try out what works for me, what doesn't work for me, it's not really a life worth living because you're not able to enjoy. If you just do the same thing every day, a job that is doesn't bring you pleasure, you're just not happy in moment by moment of your life, and you just keep doing that, keep doing that, keep doing that. Well, in that moment, you're just allowing yourself to be in that space instead of examining, okay, what I don't like about this, what I like about this, get clear there and really like examine what's in your life that you really enjoy so you can really grow. And this is what we take from science, and this is beautiful that in Church of Union we have both of these things. We have the base with the foundation of our spiritual teachings that Jeff and Shelia have gathered and really provide the clarity by trying them out by using science. They show us the way, and that's the beautiful thing about this. They try them out before saying, okay, this works or not. It's not about like this person read from there and there and I just heard it from that person and I know that works. I know actually when I was younger, before knowing a lot about spirituality, I was a bit doing that without knowing. I was like, but that person said like this, and I was like very like this works because that person said it works and it was written in a book. But actually I learned afterwards that well, it didn't matter. That just because I heard it from someone, it didn't matter. If I don't try it myself, it will never matter. I will never be fully confident in that to say yes, this works.
Mhm.
At least it works for me.
Yeah, and I love that this is like really applicable to every area of life. I mean, obviously, we're talking a lot about like, the spiritual area here and applying that to our spiritual journey, but every area of our life is part of our spiritual journey, and using this scientific approach is very effective in really every area, like be it, like finding the perfect diet for you, finding your perfect schedule, finding like your perfect everything really. And Jeff actually mentions this almost at the very end of the sermon. He said something around how like you can use this scientific approach to find the best, like the perfect way for you, no matter what, like what area it is in. So like you can really apply this like logical thinking, and then obviously using your feelings and everything, but just like these, like this logic and scientific approach to find the best perfect way for you, no matter what problem you're encountering.
The optimal way.
Mm-hmm.
That was the word that he used.
The optimal way.
Yeah, I liked how they talked about in the past how religion has used I forget exactly how it was Shalia said it, but in the past, like religion defended against reason rather than it being used to like help the process.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I love about unionism, is that it's a workable scientific process that you can apply to your life. And yeah, I just love how they said that science is actually essential to religion, to true religion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to speak to that, like, what you mentioned, that they mentioned at the end about, like how religion uses reason, because I wrote some notes down regarding that. And like they said that religion is stagnant because it uses reason to defend, not to question.
Mm-hmm.
So it uses reason not to discover the truth, but actually to obscure the truth. And that's why it's been, like if we look at religion, I mean, I feel like, sometimes that's why like spirituality kind of branched off from religion, because religion was just like unwilling to actually inquire about the truth and go deeper. And it just like held on so tightly to dogmas and was like unwilling to move. And then like, like everyone was like, let's move on. So like this entire branch of like spirituality was created that separated themselves from religion. And now religion is kind of, damn, we've lost all our people. Guess we need to change something.
That's a really great point.
And here, to bring more clarity, I love to use this word, like they were unwilling to change.
Mm-hmm.
And since people want change, we desire change. We want to change, so we won't wait for anyone else to change. We will just change ourselves, and that's how we move forward. And I love how it says about the science when you said about religion is stationary and science is progressive. So science keeps changing. That's why we are also like excited, but we love science. Like I don't believe there's someone that doesn't like to see like some scientific, I don't know, experiments or chemistry or things like this, how they change, how things evolve. And because this is actually like what we love in that so much is that change, that it changes fast. And that's what we love in actually in our lives, to have a lot of change, because it's actually beautiful to have a lot of change, to change in better and better, to feel better with every moment. So,
Amen.
Yeah, and even like when we do the mirror exercise, it's like we are actually testing it. That is the experiment. So that's every time someone doubts, what are you up to? What are you doing? What is this work you keep doing? And everyone, misunderstands that what we do is religious, or we're just following Jeff and Shreya blindly. But when they actually do their inner work, they get to see results in their life. And like I experienced this with my dad. So when he actually saw results, like things happening or money coming in or something, like someone showing up at the door to repair a plumbing problem, he would that would be proof that this is real, that this experiment of mirror exercise is real. And then I liked how Shilia said that that's why people love science, that they actually get to experience the reality of it, and it's not just blind faith following. That's nice.
yeah, and from that I really like the all knowledge of reality starts from experience and ends in it. So I really enjoy with this because it's exactly what you're saying. Like without experiencing it, like there's no knowledge there. So by you just experiencing that, you just provide the knowledge there, and you see it, and it's safe. It's really beautiful to know that you can just live it. You don't have just to read it and you do it and nothing happens in your world. You experience this. That's really beautiful. Oh, and another thing is that you don't have to to follow blindly. You test the idea to find out for yourself, and this is what you're saying, Revati. Like we don't encourage follow blindly. Like it's okay, it's very safe to trust. It's very safe for you to test this, so you know it works. But we already know that it works. But anyway, you have to try it for yourself, and don't take something for granted until you found for yourself. And then when you find, okay, actually, yeah, this works, and I can use it. Yeah.
And that's like really coming back to that point you made earlier about like this like willingness and unwillingness, because you have to be willing to test it out, and you have to be willing to test out following Jeff and Shalia's guidance, because you can't say that it's not working, and what they say is like it's like the wrong thing if you don't try it out. But like I feel like sometimes we have this like maybe tendency, especially when it's like new things, of like being afraid to like go in there and like experiment with it and test it out. And I feel like that is like so important to like let go of resistance and like be willing to try everything out and try out, you know, whatever God puts in front of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that really reminds me of something. When I joined the community, I was having I was practicing something else, some other spiritual practice. But when we started doing more, like we started joining Twin Flame Ascension School, we were like, okay, if we want to do this, we have to surrender. Like, okay, surrender what we were doing before, but like, okay, just put it here and just go all in this to see, okay, does it actually work or not? But not trying to combine them from the beginning. That does don't try that. But just like I just went with Alexandra and say, okay, we're just going to try the mirror exercise the way they teach us. We're just going to try, we're going to see. And because we did that, we've had results. And okay, we're going to use more of this. And as as time passed and we were keep using that, we found ourselves not using the other technique that we were using before because it felt like this was so much more efficient than what we had before. But you have to have willingness to just let it by. You're not giving up on it, but you're just letting by uh, what you knew before. So it's like emptying your cup. Your cup is full, so you have to empty it, and then you can receive this teaching. And by receiving it fully, then you can know. But as Denisa says, if you're not willing to fully receive it, you're not gonna have those results. So you have to really really commit to it. It's like with everything, in order to really find it that it works, you have to commit to it at least for, let's say, a while, or like you have to really, I know, there was someone that told me like when you start anything, commit for 6 months and then you see if it works or not. Don't have expectation from the first day or from the first 10 days or things like this.
Well, that like it's so true. And Jeff and Shalia have always said, like, even with their classes, like it's one thing to watch the classes, but you actually have to go into life and apply what you teach or what they teach and what you've learned from TFAS and LPC. And for me personally, the moment that I decided to just release my resistance fully in any possible way to Jeff and Shalia's teachings and the mirror exercise and just feeling my feelings, loving myself and doing the work, it was like the beginning of my harmonious union. Like within that week, you know, I completely surrendered to what they teach and there it was. And it's so true. Like, and that's what they talked about. They said you have to walk the walk. And like when you're doing your inner work, like things do get better. You feel better, miracles happen, your twin flame comes closer, you might be in harmonious union and you're maintaining it, you know. And yeah, so it's just like, yeah, applying what they teach gives you real results that you can see and everyone can see. And that's, yeah, that's, like I said, like that's the true religion, is that it works and you can apply it and everyone can apply it.
Exactly. So congratulations, Michaela, as well, for your harmonious union this week.
Thank you. Thank you. It was very nice. And it was literally all because I chose to, you know, just release any resistance, any and all resistance to what Jeff and Shalia teach. And when I made that choice, I became very aware of where I was still resisting it. Like it just like was so clear to me that I was like preferring feeling bad in many ways. And so, yeah, I just chose to really walk the walk. And
not
here
just
we are.
talk the talk.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Also, you know, something again, I got kind of around like this topic of like really going into like what God puts in front of you and like testing that. It's kind of like, you know, I know like Michaela, you had a first twin flame for 2-3 years or something. I had a first twin flame for 2-3 years, but like us diving into that because that's what God put in front of us. And we could have been like, nah, I don't want that. But like that would have not brought us anywhere. But instead, like, you know, the choice you have to make is, okay, this is what is in front of me. So I choose to dive fully into it and test it out until I get to the very end and see if this is really God's truth or if it's just something, or if not, it's just going to dissolve. And, you know, like the same thing. It's like when, you know, like maybe you have this person you think is your twin flame, you have to test it out. it's like if maybe that person is your twin flame, and then like, you know, congratulations, you found your true twin flame, which is amazing. Maybe they're not, and again, congratulations, you've healed through a bunch of stuff and have come closer to who you are and found out that this person is not your twin flame, so you can actually let them go. But if you just like sit there and you're like unwilling to actually go there and test it out to its like to its like limits, and like every corner, like go into every corner of it and really see for yourself if this is the truth or not, then like, you know, like you're not going deeper, you're basically being stagnant, just as religion, and not moving forward.
Yeah, it's so true. And then they talk about how eventually on any spiritual path, you'll eventually meet your twin flame at a certain level of ascension, but the unionism teaches you to, like they said, bring you your twin flame early so you can ascend together. And I really liked that they really emphasized that the purpose of coming together with your twin flame is for ascension, and that it's not for getting high, and it's not for just like numbing out, but you know. And so I was like very focused on that part of the sermon. I was like like I'm not going to be, you know, going to make that mistake. And yeah, I loved when Jeff said you have to prefer a relationship with God more than his gifts, and you have to want a relationship with God and value that first. And that was very important.
Yeah, it's really beautiful, this thing, and I really like that part. I believe it triggered a lot of people with like put God first, not his gifts. But in the same time, it's really like I can see the compassion that Jeff and Sherry have to really reveal this to all of us.
Yeah.
And the gentleness in which they help us understand this, because it really helped me as well clarify my harmonious union, because I'm already in harmonious union for a while, and I'm like I haven't thought about this in this way that they put it, but even this brought me more clarity to go even deeper into it. And I realized that yes, in my harmonious union, I really seek to go deeper with God, and that's why I'm still here, still in harmonious union.
Exactly.
And just by choosing that, you're already on the right path, and just doing the work.
Exactly. And I felt into that too when they were talking, and I was like, like what is my intention? Like what is my real desire here? And I realized that without the purpose of ascension, like you don't have any purpose with your twin flame, you know? And so I felt a lot of comfort. I was able to work through the fears, that like the triggers and, you know, everything. I just realized that, yeah, I do value God above all of his gifts and everything. It's about God. And we have all that we need through Jeff and Shalia's work and the mirror exercise and the community and the church to do that. Like everybody does.
That is so beautiful. And also, you know, like what you were talking about, Lau, I really love that, because you kind of really demonstrated something that Jeff and Shia were talking about, how you can always go deeper in this work, even if you're in harmonious union, if you keep an open mind and, you know, you keep that scientific approach to everything, and you always like, you know, you continue to be a spiritual seeker even after you come into harmonious union. You always go deeper, and it's really this just like this eternal experience of going deeper with God and growing and learning and uncovering more of the truth, and just expanding for all of eternity.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Amen. And yes, like of course, like it's for me, it's very fascinating to find more about God, go deeper into that. And I don't know, it just makes me happy thinking about it, because it's just so amazing to find all these things, because I have my own curiosity about the planet, how things are, like even under the sea. I'm so curious, what's under the sea, like what's deep down there, or like what's in the earth. Like I have all these questions, and I really like and even more, and about God, how to come close to God. And it's just like brings me that happiness, because it's knowing that I seek something that I have in my heart, and God really put those things there for me to go forward. So that's how I know how to go deeper with God, by the desires that I have. So it's really beautiful when you just allow those desires to come up, because they push you forward. They show you the way, and of course you have to do a lot of inner work. You cannot escape that. Don't believe that you can escape that, but it's very beautiful as you do that, and as you learn it becomes easier. Of course you're going to have more challenges, but it becomes easier as you keep going because you become more mastered, and that's inevitable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I really loved this service because they kind of like foreshadowed what the world will be like when religion and spirituality become one and they work together. I just loved just Shalia's presentation of all the information that she was sharing. It was so scientific and so thorough, but also so aligned with God, and it was just so refreshing to be part of like a church service that is speaking about science in that way. And yeah, and then she talked about Yogananda's prediction about what true religion will be in the future, and that was really cool too, about how it'll be based on your own application of what's being taught. And that was really cool because Jeff and Shali have always been that way since the beginning. They always encourage you to, test it out yourself and come like look at all of the details, look at all of the feelings, like face down the fears and the doubts rather than like hide. And so they've always been very scientific. And I love that with the Church of Union, we're going deeper there.
I love something they also said that, Yogananda prophesies the same thing you were talking about, Michaela, was how it would be like this place where the like spiritual seekers come together, and it's just like this big laboratory where like everyone is experimenting, testing things out to find the truth. And just the thought of that, it's so refreshing. And that's, what's also been like what this community, like Twin Flames University, like what the Church of Union really is. Like, in my experience, it's always been, whenever someone has doubts or doesn't understand something, it's like so safe to express that and be like, hey, why do we do this? Why do you have to do this? Why I don't understand and everything. And there's always going to be someone who will help you get clear there. Even Jeff and Shalia provide clarity for, us, if that's like what God was calling in that moment. But it was never a moment, where like I felt that anyone was, like felt like they had to like blindly follow something, and like these were like these like dogmas that are like unchangeable and like you're not allowed to question them. So just this like this permission to question, that's like so valuable, and like having this curiosity, because we're designed to have curiosity as children of God, and that's what makes life really, adds this like juicy mystery to kind of life.
That's really cool because it actually like reminds me of something in my own life. Is we were talking about this the other day, like living here with Deanna and Daniel and me, like we're all in harmonious union. We were talking about how it feels like we're living in a laboratory, and we're just like we're learning all of these things about like, we're testing the work and seeing that like everything that we've been taught about harmonious union is true. And like we're learning how it's so cool. We just feel like we're in I think it was Daniel said it feels like we're in a petri dish, like living in a real life lab. It's so cool, and it is like based on God. I love that.
Okay,
I like even when Shalia mentioned about Yogananda's prediction in a way, where he talks about having churches and temples under a generalized name, where they have like Church of, like us having Church of Union, and that felt like he said that years ago, and this is exactly what's happening right now. And
and that no churches should ever have to compete, because that's just insane, because it's all for the purpose of God and love.
Yeah, and that kind of brings up the point about you talked earlier that religion and science being against each other, but they actually are one anyways. Because like over here, like Yogananda talks about ancient Indian temples, and he said that it's sad the way that they are used now for profit by the priests, but they actually I read somewhere that ancient temples were actually built as gurukuls, so they are like for the guru and a disciple to learn. So that was the purpose of the temple. Later on, the deity was introduced, and people started worshipping a god in the form of a statue, and that's the points where these things that come up is people here believe that it's not good for a woman to enter the temple when she's menstruating, for example. So when you have this kind of thing, people now protest that, oh, how can you, that's not okay, and that's not equal. And these ideas people have towards this. But when you actually go into Ayurveda, they talk about there's this thing called apana vayu. So the your energy is supposed to move downwards to when menstruating, but when you visit a temple, it's the energies move upward, because there's certain centers in the temple, like there's a pillar. So every temple has one main pillar. It's called the Deepa Stambh. So that's where the energy is the highest. So it's very upward directed. So that's the reason why actually women are not supposed to enter the temple, because you mess up your health. And I've experienced this. Like I used to be this person who's like, how dare you say that? I'm gonna go enter the temple, and I did that, and I ended up with PCOD, and that's why people have feminine reproductive issues. So these things that came up. Even there's this, people find wearing a bindi, this in the middle of your forehead, very religious, traditional, but that's actually like protecting your energy of your third eye. These people who consider religious practices, but they're actually scientific in Hinduism. For example, for married women, the woman, after she gets married, she wears a silver ring on her second toe, and that's the ring is the nerves of the toe are connected to her reproductive system. So it's like it's supposed to help her in childbirth. And these are the actual reasons for having these practices, but people think that, oh, it's so outdated. You're being so old-fashioned, you're being regressive. But these very ancient practices were actually had science in them. So it never was separate anyways.
Wow.
That came out.
Wow, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
This is really
You're
amazing.
welcome.
Yeah, I can feel like so much healing of religion going on. Just like how when Jeff and Shalia said that, like the reason why God is referred to as he, and we talk about brothers, is because of like, the way masculine and feminine energies are created and designed. So it's the same, like there's all these things that we thought were like oppressive or bad about religion, but actually like they're pretty aligned with like the truth. Thank you. That's really awesome.
And it's like so awesome, because that is exactly what like the inquiring it and asking questions and approaching it like with this like scientific mind comes in. Because if you just like look at these traditions on the outside and you're not actually interested in like understanding where they come from, you're gonna completely like misjudge them and misinterpret them. But the moment you are like willing to just approach them with an open mind and even like test them out and even like see, oh, well, maybe there's a reason this tradition exists and where does it actually come from, and hey, let me like inform myself about this, and really like gather data and information and knowledge, and then make an draw a conclusion and an opinion based on all of that. And like you actually find the truth, and the truth actually then turns out to be pretty like in alignment, and there's nothing wrong about it. Just as Vivati's experience was with all of these traditions.
Yeah, being a true seeker.
Mm-hmm. I think because we still have 9 minutes, I think what I would like to do for the last couple of minutes is to kind of go into the 5 steps of the scientific method that Shalia brought up, and just like to basically just quickly go through it and talk about, mention whatever comes up. So the 5 basic steps of the scientific method, and Julia said, and I loved it really much, is that the scientific method is an empirical method of gaining knowledge. So it's all about, gaining knowledge, gaining the truth. And step number 1, because I have a pen, I can do number 1 with my pen. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Step number 1 is formulation of question. So this is, wherever you are on your journey and you're not sure about something, you can formulate this as a question, let's say a basic thing, because I feel like a lot of people might still be going through this, is person X my twin flame? How can I find out if person X is my twin flame? And then so this is the formulation of the question. And then the second one would be the hypothesis, which is, so, okay, let's go with the question, how can I find out if this person is my twin flame? And the hypothesis is, you can look around and be like, okay, other people found their twin flame by doing the mirror exercise, finding themselves, healing any upset in the relationship with God. So the hypothesis is that if I do the mirror exercise and heal my upsets and get clear on who I am and see myself and hear my relationship with God, then I'm going to see and find my true twin flame. So moving on from that, step 3 would be prediction, which is determining the logical consequences of the hypothesis. So if it means that if you do your inner work and everything, you will find your twin flame by that, then you can predict that, okay, if I do my inner work, then this and this should happen and this should be my experience, and this is how it's gonna look like. Am I missing? Does anyone have something to say about the prediction thing? Because I feel like I'm missing something here right now.
You're just gonna say, okay, if I do this work, there's no way that I'm not gonna get there. So no matter what, I'm gonna keep arrive there. And it's not about the time, it's not about how much or how long or how's the journey. It's about knowing that, okay, you already said the hypothesis, okay, if I do this work, I will get there. So I predict if I do this work, actually I will get there. I'll get what I desire. So.
Thank you for jumping in. I had my moment of what? So thank you, Lorenzo. That is a prediction. Michaela, do you want to say something too?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So the number 4 would then be the testing, which speaks for itself. That is you doing the inner work, really doing it, following the teaching, walking the walk, not just talking the talk, to bring that up again from earlier. And just testing it out and going all the way in testing it out, which then leads to pretty quickly to number 5, which is the analysis, which is where you can basically look at all the look at the entire test phase and collect the data and look at, okay, what happened, what worked, what didn't work, why didn't it work, did I really do my inner work, did I really hear this, did I, for example, really hear something and my twin flame did not, who I think is my twin flame, didn't mirror me there, then okay, maybe that is not my twin flame, or did I actually not do my inner work and that's why I experienced that. So just getting really clear on what was your experience and why did you experience that, and how can you improve the parameters of the that you use to get to to prove that your hypothesis is correct.
And it may be as well, it's not that you haven't done the inner work wrong, is that there are deeper layers and you have to keep going and keep going. And I really like the example that they gave with the plant. If you take 2 plants, one you put fertilizer and the other one you don't, then you're going to see the difference in them very quickly, how things evolve with a plant, how one of them grows much more richly, the other one maybe doesn't. And that's the thing, our fertilizer, it's a mirror exercise. So you can see the difference of how fast they change. So again, I bring the change. When you use the right fertilizer for you, like using a mirror exercise, you can see that we change much faster. How with plants, when you with one you put fertilizer, and other one you don't, you see that the one that you put fertilizer, you put that love, it change much faster. And we get actually more joy seeing that plant. Oh my God, it just changes so fast. Oh my God, I love how fast it grows. So that brings even more curiosity to see, like, okay, what are the things we can improve? How how is the dirt? How is the plant? How are the roots? How I can improve there? How I can improve the sun light on the plant? How I can improve everything there? So it becomes like, as the experiment goes on, you can find a lot more curiosity to see in different parts of your life where you want to use this. How do I improve? I don't know where I live. How do I improve my neighbors? The things, my relationship with the neighbors. How do I improve my finances? How do I improve, of course, above, like, the relationship with my twin flame, but I improve everything around me, and everything is part of God. So you seeking God is seeking God in everything, in every little thing, not just in the big things, not just in the harmonious union, because there's so much more to that than that. Because remember, the purpose is ascension. Ascension means everything in your life, not just one thing. Of course, it's one thing if you think about God, but that's it.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so another thing that they mentions, once you get to the analysis state, that's when you can also start, like thinking about like other hypotheses you had, because you don't, it's okay to like only have one, like you can have, okay, maybe again, just using an example like the twin flame, because that's like an easy example, like, okay, my one hypothesis is this person is my twin flame, the other one is person B is my twin flame. And then once you explore person A completely and you get to the analysis state and look at everything, you can go and look, okay, what was my experience with hypothesis B, meaning person B is my twin flame, and compare that and like really get to the truth by just like, looking at everything in your reality.
Well, that's how Laurentiu helped me get to the bottom of my false twin flame experience. Exactly that. Like we just analyzed everything, did the inner work, and
Boom.
Yep.
And then we went on a different exploration, because it's like we just explore all in what we had in front of us, and then God brought the next step. And it was like, okay, Michaela was to just take the next step and see what happens. It wasn't like it was something or something else. Didn't have a name. It was just like explore. And as you
This is
explore,
the next step.
yeah.
Yeah. So Laurentiu, you fully perfectly embodied this process in helping me. Yeah. So I feel very grateful. Just wanted to do a shout out to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, and like one thing that came up right now for me was like, that's like, I think something that a lot of us has also done when it comes to our life purpose, because we talk a lot about twin flames and applying this like process to twin flames, but like, also when it comes to our life purpose, like we've like, at least, I don't know about you, Vivati, but I know like Michaela and Lorenzo, I think like you've explored a lot of different directions when it comes to life purpose, and then we all were like somehow miraculously led to, hey, let's be ascension coaches. This is actually what feels the best. And every experience
me too.
Oh, you too. Okay. Like, we went into all these different ways, explored all these different things, learned all these different things, worked through all these different blocks. And that's how we uncover the truth of who we really are and what God really designed us to be and what we really desire in our heart to be. Yeah. So it's like, it's really always like an uncovering of the truth in your heart.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Actually, like Revati just became, like she just signed up for ACT. Like,
oh, congratulations.
Not long ago. So
thank you.
So she actually got to that conclusion that you're speaking of.
Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Good talk.
I definitely feel complete here. This felt I always, at the end of every talk we have after, like, after this, like every Monday after we talk, about this service from the day prior. Oh my God, I really can't talk today. I think I'm upheaving, excuse me. But like after every talk at the end, I'm just like, so like grateful that we're like doing this, because like I understand the service on such a deeper level than before. I like always come out and I'm like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Like I get everything now and I can feel it and apply it and everything. So yeah, it just like helps a lot to talk about everything and process it that way. So thank you everyone for, you know, everything you said, all your contributions.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone who was watching, and we will see you next week, same time, same place, with a new juicy discussion about the coming service, which I'm already looking forward to.
Me too. All right.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.